If you have ever had to tell a designer just detach the component, this video is for you. Today we are talking about one of the most useful things Figma has shipped recently, slots. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll completely understand what they are, how to set them up, and more importantly, why they matter for how you build components. Let's get into it. First, let me set the scene, because slots don't make sense unless you understand the pain they are solving. Picture this. You've built a beautiful card component, clean, consistent, well-structured. You hand it off to your team, and 2 days later, half the instances are detached. Why? Because a designer needed to add one extra list item or swap in a different layout, and the component just wouldn't let them. So they detached it, and now that card lives outside your system forever. No future updates, no consistency guarantees. Just a rogue frame floating in the file. Sound familiar? Before slots, designers had two main workarounds. The first was hidden layers with Boolean toggles. You'd pre-build every possible variation and hide the ones you didn't need. It works, but it's rigid. You're essentially guessing every configuration in advance. The second was instant swapping. You drop a placeholder component inside the card and designers could swap it out for whatever they needed. More flexible, sure, but if a designer needed something that wasn't in the swap list, they'd have to build their own local component just to plug it in. More overhead, more friction. Both of these methods are workarounds, and Figma just gave us a real solution. Slots are a new type of component property that turns any nested frame inside a component into a free-form content container. Think of it like this. Imagine your component is a picture frame. Before slots, the picture was painted directly onto the frame. You couldn't change it without damaging the frame itself. Slots basically adds a little window to that frame. You can slide in any picture you want, a photo, a drawing, a sticky note, without touching the frame at all. That's the core idea. The component stays intact, connected to your system, receiving updates, and designers can freely customize what goes inside it. When you hover over a slot in a component instance, you will see a pink border appear around it. That pink color is your visual signal that, hey, this area is a slot. Hit the plus button, and you can start adding content directly into it. Existing component instances, text, shapes, frames, whatever you need. Okay, quick break. This week, I designed the most unhinged website I've ever made. And yes, it looks way too good for what it is. The concept is simple and kind of brilliant in a twisted way. You know how every good UX principle is about reducing friction, guiding users to a win, making everything feel smooth and rewarding? This is the exact opposite of that. Every choice you make leads somewhere worse. Every button that looks helpful isn't. It's a loop of small, ironic, completely harmless frustration dressed up in a beautiful interface. It has all the visual language of something trustworthy, but the whole experience is engineered to gently betray you every single time. It's basically a love letter to bad UX, wrapped in good design. Now, I have a confession. This is an April Fool's collaboration, and the tool behind this is UX Pilot, an AI design tool that turns a detailed prompt into fully styled, realistic UI screens in one click. Wild idea, client concept, quick mockup, doesn't matter. It's fast, it's impressive, and it fits straight into your Figma workflow. So I wrote out one detailed prompt, exactly what I wanted, nothing more, and hit generate. I mean, look at that. The layout, the visual tone, the hierarchy, all of it from a single prompt. Go try it yourself and build your own out-of-the-box idea. Links in the description. Now go back to Figma. Okay, let's talk about actually building one, because it's simpler than it sounds. Go into your main component and draw a frame where you want the flexible area to be. Maybe it's the content area of a card or the body of the bottom sheet. One important rule, it has to be a nested frame. You can't convert the top-level parent frame of a component into a slot. And regular shapes like rectangles won't work either. It has to be a frame inside the component. Once you have that frame selected, right-click and choose Convert to Slot, or go to the Properties panel on the main component, hit the plus icon, and choose Slot from the list. Once it's converted, you will see it outlined in pink in the Layers panel with a little slot icon. That's how you know it worked. And now you can hit this plus button and start adding your components to this area. You can add other elements as well. Now, and this is important, whatever other layout settings you put on that slot frame will govern how content flows inside it. So before you call it done, Think about how content should behave. Should items stack vertically? Should there be padding? Should the slot hug its content or fill a fixed height? Set those up before your designers start using it, because those rules apply automatically to everything dropped in. Now here's a feature that takes slots from useful to really polished. Preferred instances. A blank slot is kind of like handing someone a blank canvas and saying, fill this in. For most workflows, you want to give people a starting point. That's what preferred instances do. When you edit the slot property on your component, you will see an option to add preferred instances. You select the specific components from your library that are intended for that slot. Your list items, carousels, buttons, whatever makes sense. Now, when a designer goes to add content to the slot, those components are surfaced immediately, right at their fingertips. Crucially, this isn't restrictive. Designers can still add anything to the slot. Preferred instances just give them a curated shortcut. One more thing worth knowing. You can put default content directly inside the slot on the main component itself. So instead of leaving it as an empty frame, you might drag in 3 list items as your starting point. When a designer pulls out an instance, those defaults come with it. They can change them, duplicate them, delete them. But if they ever want to start fresh, they just right-click the component and hit Reset Instance, and everything snaps back to those defaults. So where should you actually start implementing this in your system? A few good signals to look for. If designers keep detaching a component, that's your #1 indicator. Slots were basically made for that situation. Also, look for components with repeated elements, lists, feeds, any pattern where the number of items isn't fixed. And look at your heavy hitter components. Modals, cards, bottom sheets, drawers. These tend to have a lot of configuration variation, and slots let you manage fewer base components while supporting way more configurations. And that's slots. Honestly, it's one of those features that seems small on the surface, but completely changes how you think about building components. Fewer detachments, more flexibility, and a design system that bends without breaking.